Hi, grade 8s. Welcome to your first lockdown lesson with me, Mrs. Shield, and I hope you're going to enjoy the lesson. Today's shout out goes to TK in grade 8S as well as Eminati in grade 8O. Let's get started with today's lesson. So last time that I saw you, we started working with cells. And you should remember that we have plant cells and we have animal cells. Now, plant cells look different to animal cells in that their structure is different and some of the organelles that you find inside of them are different as well. Last time I saw you, you had a bit of homework. Please will you take your textbook and turn to page 32. On page 32, you are required to give the function of the different organelles that are found within cells. So today is going to be a little bit of a recap, a little refresher. Please take your pencil and make corrections and mark those answers that you had to do. Right, so when you think about a plant and animal cell, inside of it, you have different organelles. Organelles are like baby organs. Each one of them has a different structure and they have a different function for the cell. Let's see if you can remember what on earth is the function of the cell wall. Right, please remember to take corrections. You're also more than welcome to pause this video at any time in order to take down the information. Right, the cell wall gives shape to the cell. It is also providing protection to the cell. The next one that we have is called the cell membrane. And if you remember, the cell membrane controls what goes in and what goes out of the cell. In other words, it is selectively permeable. The next one is cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is the jelly-like liquid that surrounds all the other organelles. And the function of the cytoplasm is this is where most cellular activities occur. The next one, the nucleus. The nucleus controls all the activities that take place in a cell. It's kind of like a brain, controls everything. The next one, the mitochondria. Right, it is responsible for cellular respiration. It's the process whereby glucose and oxygen are used in order to release energy. Energy is needed in every single cell to undergo all of its functions. The next one is the chloroplast. Now, the chloroplast is only found in plant cells. Chloroplasts contain a pigment called chlorophyll, which allows them to undergo a process called photosynthesis. And what exactly is photosynthesis? It uses sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water to produce food for the plant. In other words, the chloroplast is the part of the plant, or rather the organelle inside of the cell of a plant that provides food. Right, the next one is the vacuole. The vacuole stores water, salts, waste, and food particles. And we're going to learn today that plant cells have a really big vacuole, whereas animal cells either have no vacuoles or very small ones. Next one, endoplasmic reticulum, my favorite one. This is the organelle that transports substances around the cell, so it's going to transport. Next one, ribosomes. They produce protein for the cell. Next one, we find chromoplast. I always think chromoplast starts with the letter C, so I think it produces the color in the fruit, in autumn leaves, and in flowers. So if you think about a beautiful red rose, it's red because of the chromoplasts. Right, and then the next one, Golgi body. The Golgi body stores protein. And the last one, leucoplasts, stores starch. Leucoplasts are found in plant cells. They take glucose, they convert it into starch, and they store it. Right, more than welcome to pause this video so you can make all of your corrections. Once you've done that, we can move on. Right, there is a difference between plant cells and animal cells. If you have a look at page 33, you will see these two diagrams. The diagram on the left is a plant cell, and the diagram on the right is an animal cell. And just looking at it, you can definitely see that there are differences. The shape is different. Some of the organelles are different, either in size or one of the cells might not have the same organelle as the other cell. Right, let's have a look at the shape. When you see the plant cell, it has more of a rectangle shape. We call it has a fixed or a rigid shape. An animal cell has an irregular shape. But let's now have a look at what is inside of these cells. What organelles do we find? You will see that there's a table where we're going to provide labels on page 33. See if you can kind of figure out what they are, and let's work through it together. Right, A. A is found in both the plant cell and the animal cell. And I can see that it is surrounding it. I'll give you a clue. It's selectively permeable. It only lets certain substances in and out. What could that be? It is the cell membrane. Right, then let's have a look at B. B is only found in the plant cell. It's that outermost layer is going to provide protection and give shape to the plant cell. That must mean it is the cell wall. Right, then you'll see C is found in both the plant cell and the animal cell. And it looks like it's sort of touching nothing. That's going to be the jelly-like liquid that surrounds all the organelles. We call that the cytoplasm. Right, D. D is found in plant and animal cells, but there's a huge difference. D is really large in the plant cell and really small in the animal cell. In fact, sometimes you don't find it in an animal cell at all. It stores water. What could that be? It's the vacuole. Right, E. E is like the brain of the cell. It controls all the functions. E is found in the plant cell and the animal cell. So that means it's the nucleus. Right, F is a little bit more tricky. I'll give you a clue. You drew a diagram of it at the top of page 32. It's the chloroplast. Remember, the chloroplast is the site of photosynthesis. It's the place where the plant makes its glucose, its food. Right, let's have a look at G. G, you're going to have to really think back to last term. G is only found in animal cells, and it's used to form spindle fibers during cell division. 100 points to you if you can remember what that is. It's called the centriole. Right, then we have H. H is touching that oval shaped thing. Ooh, it's got a smooth outer membrane and a folded inner membrane. Can you remember what that might be? You drew a diagram of it on page 31. It's the mitochondria. Right, I transport substances around the cell. That makes it the endoplasmic reticulum. Please note that the endoplasmic reticulum is found in both the animal and the plant cell. And then the last one, J, is the Golgi body. Golgi body is also found in both plant and animal cells. Right, at the bottom of page 33, you will see we've taken 2 micrographs. Those are photos taken under the microscope. And on the left, we've got a plant cell, and on the right, we have an animal cell. Let's see if you can kind of figure out what the organelles are inside of the plant cell. But firstly, let's have a look at the shape. Do you see how the plant cell has this more fixed, rigid, rectangle-ish shape to it? It's a fixed shape. All right, so that is how I know it is a plant cell. But there's a couple of other features as well. We're going to start with the first label. So I want you to take your ruler and your pen, and I want you to label the following 3 labels. So the first one is touching that dark circle. Any guesses what that might be? If you said nucleus, well done. Right, then we have this layer that is surrounding the cell. Only found in plant cells. That is called the cell wall. And then the last one is a little bit hard to see, but it's going to be that really large vacuole that is found inside of a plant cell. Vacuole. Make sure that you get these labels. Right, then let's move over to the animal cell. Now the first thing I notice is that the fact that the animal cell looks very different to a plant cell. In fact, if you have a look at this cell over there, it kind of looks like a shoe. They have irregular shapes to them. They definitely do not have a fixed shape like a plant cell. Right, the outermost layer of that cell, so we're going to start with the first label. Take your ruler and let's label it together. That first label is going to be the cell membrane. Then you'll see we have a dark circle inside of each one of those cells. That must be the nucleus. And then, very hard to see, we can't really see any other organelles. So the next label is sort of touching, let's say, the jelly-like structure. So that means it's the cytoplasm. Wonderful. Once you have those labels, let's turn over to page 34. Right, on page 34 it says, in the space below, draw a table to compare the differences between plant cells and animal cells. So in other words, we need to take our ruler and we're going to be drawing a table. Now first things first, you have to have a heading. The heading today is a table showing the difference between plant cells and animal cells. Write down that heading for me and underline it. You are then going to draw a table. It's going to have 2 columns and 5 rows going across. Try and work neatly. All right, when we talk about doing a table that compares something, we always make sure that we compare on the same line or in the same row, the same thing. And you'll see what I mean in a moment. So we're comparing plant cells with animal cells. So the first difference that we have is the fact that a plant cell has a cell wall. Now I need to talk about the same thing in the same row, but this time on the side of animal cell. An animal cell does not have a cell wall. All right, can you think of anything else that was different between a plant cell and an animal cell? Right, next one. A large vacuole. Pat yourself on the back if you thought of that one. Plant cells have a huge vacuole. And animal cells, they either have none or they are going to be really small. So again, you'll see I'm comparing the same thing with the same thing in the row, or in the same row. Right, plant cells are green. Why are they green? They have chloroplasts. Animal cells? Nope, they do not have any chloroplasts. Animals don't need to make their own food. Animals eat, but plants have to make their own food, so they have chloroplasts. Right, then we can talk about the shape of the plant cell. The plant cell has a fixed shape. Remember how it looks like a rectangle? But we don't say that. We say it has a fixed shape. And the animal cell has a irregular shape or does not have a fixed shape. I prefer the word irregular in shape. All right. Feel free to pause the video, take down this table for me. Once you have that, we can move on.
Listen close to the story I tell. It's the rapping story of the living cell. It's a happy tune that's sort of cheery about a real tough topic called the cell theory. All animals, plants, and protists too are made of cells with different jobs to do. They're the basic units of all organisms. And I hope by now you got the rhythm. It all started with a dude named Hook, who at some cork cells took a look. He used a scope and took his time, cause a cell is small and thinner than a dime. 1, 2, 3, 4. Are you ready to learn some more? The animal cell has many parts, and you must know each one by heart. Like the farmer man in the dell, the nucleus controls the cell. It gives the orders, there's no doubt. It lets some particles go in and out. Now please don't lose your science enthusiasm. Listen to the story of the cytoplasm. Controls the cell. It gives the orders, kind of like a brain, and it's protected by a nuclear membrane. Around the cell, you'll find another skin. The cellular membrane holds the cell in, but its job isn't simple. There's no doubt. It lets some particles go in and out. Now please don't lose your science enthusiasm. Listen to the story of the cytoplasm. All around the cell, this thick fluid does go. But in the nucleus, it will not flow. And don't forget about those ribosomes. This is where the proteins come from. These protein factories are so small, you'll agree. You need an electron microscope to see. Just when you thought you weren't having any fun, along comes the E reticulum. These tube-like structures serve as a track to carry stuff to the membrane and back. Have you ever seen a donut without a hole? In a cell, these are called vacuoles. They're filled with stuff like H2O, and they carry food so the cell can grow. Last of all, but not the very least, mitochondria, mighty cellular beasts. Since they turn sugars into energy so well, we can call them the powerhouse of the cell. Now, my friend, you know it well. The unforgettable story of the living cell.
Right, I'd like you to take a photo of page 33 and page 34 of the work that we've done today, and I want you to submit it under assignments on Microsoft Teams. See you next time.